I have declared this a Golden Ox production!
Boo, everyone. Hey, no, don't be scared. It's just Network Special, the greatest podcast ever about the golden era of appointment television. When you'd look at your TV guide and say, I have to be home, honey, the Golden Girls are going to talk about rectal cancer. You have the baby by yourself because we love TV that much. And we're going to talk about it. Really lost the thread there, but you know what I mean. My name is Zachariah Durr, and I'm one of the co-hosts, and I'm here with my other wonderful co-host. And who is that?
Oh, Nathan, rectal cancer shear.
And in the booth, the mysterious and creepy producer. Who is that?
That's me, Jeremy Demery.
So demure. That's what he sounds like, so if he starts talking, don't be extra scared.
Operator, please get the police. I don't know where I'm located, just get the police. It's an emergency. Just get me the police, please.
Why all this talk about scary stuff, Zachariah? Well, we're talking about Trilogy of Terror. First shown on March 4th, 1975 at 8:30 on ABC. These are three thrilling stories of terror. Or are they all thrilling? That's what we'll talk about, because some of them may not be quite so thrilling. This was Nathan's suggestion. Nathan, why did you choose this program?
Whenever I start getting into the phenomenon of TV movies and specials, this one always appeared in lists of the best ones and a list of people of their scariest things that they watched when they were a kid, stuff like that. And this being an ABC movie of the week, there's a lot of people who've written books about ABC movie of the week, and this one's always everywhere. It's on the cover of all TV shows, compendiums, and yeah, that's really why. It's just one of the big boys of network species.
And had you seen it before now?
No.
Okay.
No. So I was excited.
Hey, I was excited too. My pants almost blew across the room when you suggested it.
And I was excited for the both of you to watch it.
That's true. You refer to yourself as our mother and our father.
I believe it's Mrs. and Mrs.
Okay. Got it. Love it.
Trilogy of Terror was shown at 8:30, which, when we talk about this, seems a little early, but I can understand why if you were a child and watching this on TV in 75, this would have really stuck with you, because some of these scenes are intense.
What was the day of the week?
March 4th?
Do you know? Oh, no, you don't. So you
need to look that up, sweetie. I have everything else here. It is directed by Dan Curtis. Dan Curtis directed early episodes of Dark Shadows, a soap opera about vampires. He directed a TV movie called The Night Stalker about a detective who finds vampires. And he had directed Dracula, starring Jack Palance, which is about a vampire named Dracula. I don't know if Dan Curtis loved vampires or if the network just decided he was the go-to vampire guy.
This was a Tuesday, by the way. Just an average Tuesday night.
Thank you.
Kid tuning in, 1975. What TV shows would have been on? Do you know? Do you have any clue?
Okay. I was not alive in 1975. I have a general idea about television history. If you have a very specific question.
I want to know March of 1975.
Okay,
What
I'm
commercials
looking
would have
at
been running?
Wikipedia, and they have a still from the day this aired, and there is Good Times and there is Happy Days.
Okay.
So maybe you were watching the Fonz, and then suddenly you were watching Karen Black trying to bone her students.
Yeah.
These all three stories were written by Richard Matheson, who wrote for the original Twilight Zone. He wrote Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, which is the one where there's a gremlin on the wing of an airplane and William Shatner sees it.
That's a classic.
It is a classic.
It's been redone 50 times.
Yeah, the really odd John Lithgow redo of it. And he wrote the novel I Am Legend, which was turned into a movie 3 times, including with Big Willie Style himself, DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Wait, DJ Jazzy Jeff?
Yeah.
You mean his...
Play the dog.
Oh,
and then
okay. They were both in it, is what you're saying.
the other writer, so Matheson created the stories for all 3 of these tales, but only wrote the script for the third. The first 2 stories by Matheson, but were scripted by William F. Nolan, who created Logan's Run, which was a movie and a TV show that I was not aware of, full of foxy young people.
Lots of, what would you say? Like lots of successful people involved in this.
There's a high pedigree. Yeah. I think that this was really banked on to get March ratings goosed a little bit because they were advertising this with stills in like Life magazine, and I think people had high hopes for it. Everyone was a buzz because in addition to the pedigree of the writer and the director, all 3 of these star Karen Black, who was an actress who is in a lot of very heady 70s art cinema. She was in Easy Rider, 5 Easy Pieces, King of Marvin Gardens, all of which, and she was in Nashville. All movies that I only saw this year. I watched them over COVID, and she is an amazing actress. She is an actor who can play an everyday person, which is maybe the hardest thing for an actor to do and make it very interesting. She has a very interesting face. She's very beautiful, but she also is like slightly cross-eyed. I read a review who called her, said that she looked like a caricature of a beautiful person, which is super mean.
Yeah, I know. I know. I read a couple too, and I can't remember what they said, but they were all like that, where it was like someone like casually insulting them, but also writing it as a compliment somehow.
Yeah, and she's a really pretty woman. Like, you don't need to backhand this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not the most conventional person, but we don't say that about, hey, I don't want to get political, but we don't say it about actors. I'm pausing for everyone in their car to applaud my bravery in that comment.
Did this, now she started to do more horror, right? Like at some point? Was it because of this, or
because this was such a buzzed about thing? And she also said she thinks it's possibly because her name is Karen Black. She started to be cast in all of these horror movies, which she wasn't thrilled about. It's kind of like she just, for years there, couldn't get back in the kind of parts that she was doing before. She was doing kind of, trashy horror stuff, which I think she's come to embrace now, possibly because it's a lucrative, it's probably a more lucrative market as a, how old is she now? 60, she's 74. Oh no, I'm so sorry. She died in 2013. That's how old she is. She's dead. She probably had an easier time having a career as an elderly actor going on horror movie circuits and charging for autographs than she would trying to get roles and things. So I guess I would embrace it too.
At this point in my life, I would embrace a coffee commercial.
Oh yeah, how'd that audition go for Tasty Sips, that new coffee place?
Didn't get it.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Didn't you
I
get him?
lost
You
out.
gave him the sip and smile.
You told me about the sip and smile,
Yeah.
and I'm now thinking that was sabotage.
Nathan, whenever you audition for any kind of like beverage commercial, you sip and then you smile and then you let a little dribby go down your chin because you need to show the product.
You know what? I think I let too much come out of my mouth.
Oh,
I think I opened up too wide.
it is a
It
skill.
It came pouring out of my mouth.
Yeah, I mean it's a job, right? You just get better
Yeah.
with practice. So hopefully your next week your little hugs jugs audition goes well.
Oh man, little hugs.
Little hugs. Did you drink
We'll have
hugs
to-
jugs?
Oh my gosh, I crushed those things.
I tried having one recently. What a throat burner. I mean,
Oh
it's
my gosh,
so
they're so
sugary.
sharp.
I couldn't get it. I couldn't drink the whole thing, and they are smaller than my hand.
It stings. It stings going down. I think they have big hugs now, by the way, like tall boy hugs.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure you can go to Sam's Club and get an actual like barrel, like apple barrel sized.
And then you can ride it down Niagara Falls.
Yep. Nature's hug.
Or it comes with a pair of suspenders.
Oh, like you can wear it if you become impoverished.
Yeah, in case you're being evicted in the moratorium. Little satire there. Sorry. So this movie, right?
Trilogy
Terror.
of Terror. Each one of these
It's right in the
segments-
name, by the way. Three
Three.
anthology. Three tales of terror.
Yeah. It says what's on the it is what's on the tin. Each segment has the name of the character that Karen Black plays. And the first is called Julie.
Yes.
And we start off seeing two young men who look like Joe Piscopo impersonators sitting on a bench in a college quad watching the young co-eds go by.
Now
Nathan,
you say young. You say young.
well,
But
70s
they all
young.
look like they're 40.
They are
all look
both
like they're 40s.
young men of 43, first year in college, freshman class. And they go,
I was
oh,
like,
my
is-
sciatica. The big rush
Yeah.
is going on.
Everyone's middle-aged on this campus.
Well, yes. In this story, Karen Black plays their teacher, and she looks way younger than her students.
Yeah.
Walk us through what happens in the course of Julie, Nathan.
So she they're like the two guys, the two 40-year-olds are kind of talking about all the women they see pass by. And the professor, played by Karen Black, Julie, walks by, and one of them kind of, makes a joke like, I'd like to see what she looks like, under that dress or something like that.
Well, it's not a joke.
And yeah, he says it. You think it's a joke, at least from the beginning, and then, and his friend's like, "Oh, that's funny" or whatever. But he's like, "No, I'm being serious." And then it's like they get into class with her, and then part of her leg is shown, and that really sucks him in. And then he tries to mean mug her into going on a date with him, right?
Yes, he kind of, it's kind of like, I took it as almost like one of those weird college dares where, so Julie, this teacher, dresses like a school marm, long, colorless dresses. She has her hair back. She has no makeup on, glasses. Is there anything more unattractive on a woman? And I thought it was going to be one of those things where he said, I want to see what she looks like underneath all those clothes because she's so plain. This is almost like a cruel prank on her, right? But it turns out that he actually is getting turned on by her. So he does. Yeah, he mean mugs her, he browbeats her to going on a date to the drive-in. And they are watching The Night Stalker, Meta, the other thing the director made. At the drive-in, Julie is very freaked out by horror movies, and Chad says, let me go get you something to drink. So he goes to the drive-through concession stands and gets 2 root beers, which sounds, I like root beer, but for some reason that sounded so gross. It's not what you get on a date, right? Is that the least romantic thing to get your date is a root beer?
Not when you're 40 years old in college.
Oh, you think it'll help your digestion when you're around that age?
You know, and by the way, the guy playing her is her playing him is her ex-husband
Yes, that is her second husband.
in real life. And so keep that in mind when you hear what happens next.
Yes, and actually, Karen Black was offered this role. She turned it down. Her then husband said yes to the role and talked her into doing this movie. That's why she's in it. She's in it because her husband was in this sequence.
But they are not. They are divorced before this comes out.
Yeah, I think she had like 5 husbands in her.
So do you
lifetime.
think? So were they married during the filming then?
I believe so. Yes,
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say because it would be really awkward
they
to
were
play this role.
real life husband and wife.
Okay.
So he goes. Chad roofies Julie's drink. Julie passes out in the car. Chad drives the passed out Julie to his dorm room and proceeds to take photos of her with her clothes as ripped off as you can get for the 1970s. And then it is implied that he then rapes her and drops her back off at her home.
Right.
The next day, he...
Well, she wakes up
Yeah.
in the car, and he's like, "Oh, you dozed off at the movie, but I didn't want to wake you."
Right.
Yeah.
The next day, he blackmails her with the photographs and basically makes her go along with the future sex fantasy stuff he wants to do. This is all implied. You really don't see anything else. I guess we fast forward a couple days, and Julie suddenly announces. Julie's, of course, not into this. She's very shaken, but she's going along with it because her job is threatened. And then one day in Chad's apartment, she says, "The game is over." And suddenly
It
she
ends abruptly.
Yes, she looks very coy and she's smiling. She says, "Did you really think that dull little mind of yours could have conceived of that dramatic experiences we've shared?" And she implies that she has somehow hypnotized or put a spell on Chad. That's never made clear.
Right.
But it's now revealed, as you said, very suddenly, "I was in control the whole time, you fool." And Chad starts choking. She has poisoned his drink. She starts laughing. And the next thing we see is a young man knocking on her door saying, "Hey, I need some help with my homework. Can you help me out here?" And she goes, "Come right on in," implying that she is about to Black Widow yet another young man.
Yeah, she burns down his apartment with him in it. The other guy.
Oh, I did leave that out. That's right. I forgot. She burns everything.
Yeah. yeah, because he and he's like a photo guy, so she's able to kind of place the blame on chemicals in the dark room. But then it's revealed they pull back at the end of this and you see she has a book with headlines of all the men that she's done this to.
Yeah, I couldn't.
What would you do if you were trapped? Like, she wasn't trapped, but until like I was thinking about the whole time while I was watching this, like, what would I do if someone did that to me, raped me, and then had photos of me? Like, how would you? Like, would you just continue the relationship, or would you just be like, screw it, I'll just get fired?
Well, I would hope, I mean, maybe this is very naive, but I would hope that in 2021, there would be some sort of way for me to just announce that and have people actually believe me. When I was watching this as a story, I thought that there was going to be some sort of a twist where she was suddenly going to go along with it and dupe him somehow. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that this was going to be some sort of weird. Again, it's never made clear. Has she hypnotized him? Does she?
Yeah.
Is she a witch? Is this? How is she doing this? Has she been moving from town to town? Is this all at the same school? And everyone she's had as a student, every handsome boy she's had as a student has gotten in an inferno accident.
Yeah.
The thing that sits really weird with this story is a bit of a theme that we're going to return to again and again, which is, see, women are evil. Because in the 70s especially, not to get too somber, but in a lot of movies or things that I read from the 70s, there was this idea that rape was the secret taboo desire of every woman, and it was a taboo fantasy that they all had. And this kind of seems to play into that gross way of thinking, because she's revealed to have had the power in this relationship the whole time. And what excites her is this guy who will drug her and rape her and get her into these like scandalous situations.
Do you think that men in the 70s watching this were like, wait a second, he's the bad guy? And then they watch it, they're like, oh, okay, good.
Oh,
I knew it was her all along.
for you.
Yeah. And then, that's the end of story 1, Julie.
That's the end of story 1. Not very terrifying.
Yeah.
Not very terrifying.
Yeah, no.
This is like an intense Tales from the Crypt, right?
Maybe for rapists. Maybe it's like a morale, it's like,
Although,
watch your back, rapist.
He's innocent in this. Even though he's kind of like implied to be a grosso at the beginning, he was like maybe he was supposed to be under a spell, and the network took that out because they didn't want him to be a hero, too clearly the good guy.
Wait, okay, hold on. No, I don't think, okay. I don't really think that.
You don't think that she was controlling his mind?
No, I think she seduced him, maybe, by showing her leg and doing the little things.
No.
Because she knew.
Remember at the beginning, he said, she's gone. Like, she's walked into the building, and he says, I just had the strangest idea. I wonder what she looks like under all those clothes.
Oh.
And then the way at the ending, she goes, remember how you thought suddenly about what I looked like underneath all those clothes? Like, she's mind controlling him. Yes.
So she mind controlled him into raping him.
Yes. This is not like a I spit on your grave reverse revenge thing. She's straight up controlling the situation the entire time.
Right. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I wrote a note. Was she able to control his mind? Like, I was thinking, like, does that mean every single piece? Or what I thought maybe is that she was able to hit the switch and then he rolled with it on his own terms. But
that, I think that
it makes more sense.
Yes, the writing would have had to be cleverer for that to happen.
Yeah. And she does say, you think you came up with this idea on your own or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I told you, women are evil.
Well, that's kind of a funny line, too. Like, oh, you think you're smart enough to come up with a plan to rape me and torture me and kidnap me? Oh, you think you're that smart? No, you're a dum-dum. You would have just asked me out like an idiot.
Okay.
So
Well, kids, are you having fun so far?
What's the name of story? What's the name of story 2?
Well, it is named Millicent and Therese.
Yes. Let me ask you. Okay, so
do we need to talk about this one very long? No. If that was the question.
This is also I don't know, this kind of seems like a short one anyways, but like, so there is a twist in this one, and let me ask before we go into, how quickly did you figure out the twist?
The first second.
Yeah, I'm always the worst at this, and I usually even call bullcrap on people who say they get things right away.
Yeah, but
this one, it was really just right away. It's like, okay,
this one stinks. This one stinks to high heaven. F-.
So Millicent and Therese are these sisters who live in this mansion, and one of them is crazy and sexual, and the other one is mild-mannered and terrified of her, right?
Yes, we should say Karen Black plays both of these sisters.
Yes.
They look like they are wearing two bagged Halloween costumes, one called Prude and one called Tart. Like one is the most over the top like slut outfit, and the other one looks like a cartoon of a schoolmarm from a Warner Brothers cartoon.
Yeah.
And you never see the two of them in the same room together at the same time.
What are you implying? I mean, this story, it's just, it's hard to even really remember all the details except that it's like, you find out in the end, like that she's got one of the most worst cases of like
Multiple personality disorder.
multiple personalities. Yes. Yeah. But my question is that there at one point in this there is a voodoo doll, and who's using the voodoo doll?
The
Is it
Prude
Millicent or
sister, Millicent. Well, the
Okay.
thing that's hard about this section is that nothing happens. Nothing happens. You see the Prude
like
sister,
a psychiatrist comes.
Yeah, the Prude sister is going, I hate my sister. She's too wild. She slept with my father. She slept with our father, and she made our mother commit, and she murdered our mother. And then you see the other sister. I hate my sister. She's such a fuddy-duddy. Then a psychiatrist comes over. Oh, do you want to sleep with me, psychiatrist? No, well, screw you. Prude sister. My sister's the worst. I'm going to make a voodoo doll of my sister.
Yeah, okay, then they find the sexy sister dead,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So did the voodoo doll work?
It's so unclear because Therese, the promiscuous sister, is supposed to be the one who's into Satanism and voodoo, which we know because there is a book that has the words Satanism and voodoo written on the side of it. And it's clearly handwritten by a prop maker.
The classic pairing, by the way.
And then Millicent, Therese breaks a little girl's doll. There's no explanation. I know it sounds like that. I'm not explaining it well. It's not explained well. Millicent runs outside.
That's
There's
right,
a little
that's
girl
right.
crying who has a broken doll. What happened? Therese ran outside and broke my doll. Oh, Therese is the worst. Don't worry. I'll fix her good. Millicent starts making a voodoo doll. Cut to Therese is dead. The doctor comes in. Looks at the voodoo doll, says, oh, I can't believe this. He takes the wig off her. The worst case of multiple personality disorder I've ever seen. That's it. That's the end.
Yeah. That's the Shyamalan twist.
The Shyamalanian twist. Again, not terrifying by any
No.
standards.
No, just kind of gross and weird.
Yes, it is. I wrote down for a story about a psychopathic, incestual, nymphomaniac killer. This is incredibly boring. But then
That's a great log line.
we
Is that
get
the right word? Log line?
that's the describer on the back. That's my blurb.
Yeah.
Thumbs down. But then we get to the final sequence, which is
Now
the reason
this-
anyone remembers this
Yes.
thing.
This is definitely the best story, but also it is it's the cover of the DVD. It's like it's in the picture. Every single thing about this thing is about this third story.
Yes. For some reason, they did not go with the campaign where it's Millicent sitting alone in her room. They went with this story. This story is called Amelia, but it's better known for the Zuni doll, the killer Zuni doll that is in this story. Do you want to just describe the description's so basic? Do you want to get into it?
I mean, it's pretty simple. She's a woman who lives alone. She's dating someone. She's gonna have him over for dinner. She bought them this voodoo doll or this Zuni doll gift, this fetish, gift, and it's rumored that if you break this little necklace on it or whatever, then it becomes alive. And basically she's on the phone with her mom, who is really upset that she's not going to come over with her or something like that. It's kind of another side. That's kind of like just like the first kind of thing. We just get this, what is probably the longest phone call in TV history, by the way. And it's just, you just hear her.
Yes,
she's talking to her mom.
She's the only person in
Yes.
this. We don't see the boyfriend. We don't see the mom. This is like set up like a one-person play, and she does great. I guess.
Yeah.
Karen
Yes.
Black like rewrote all these dialogue scenes.
Oh, that's great.
They're
And so,
really
so
good.
her mom is like trying to guilt her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And her mom's trying to guilt her out of hanging out with her boyfriend. But they hang up on the phone, and then she puts a steak in the oven. I don't know. She cuts all the fat off a steak. She's going to have dinner. She cuts all the delicious parts off a steak and then puts it in the oven. And then, this somehow the doll's necklace breaks, it falls or something, and it starts freaking just trying to kill her with a little knife,
And that's
little
the rest.
spear that it has, right?
Yeah, the rest of it's just basically dialogue free. It is just this tiny little grotesque doll racing around her apartment, stabbing her, trying to kill her, and her trying to get away from it. And boy, this should be the goofiest thing in the world. This should be the most laughable thing, because sometimes it is hard to not imagine a stagehand like wiggling a doll underneath the camera, but it is so well directed. She is so good at reacting to this thing. It's great. I mean, it's action packed.
Yeah.
The doll is
It's scary. It is
gross
scary.
looking. Yeah. And there is something about
Yeah.
a little figure slashing at your legs that is so disturbing. And also, this is
I had nightmares about stuff like that.
this is 75. Like, this is before
Yeah.
the movie Halloween. This is before any of the slasher movies. This is a lot of blood for a TV movie in 75. I mean, she gets cut up in this thing.
It's relentless. There's a lot of times where I feel like, okay, this surely she has figured this out, and then it keeps freaking coming. It climbs up the bed, and that's like I would have been up forever. I would have gone back to sleep as a kid watching that. Like anything climbing up the bed, I would have pictured that over and over again, trying to go to sleep.
Well, I have that written down that this is the scariest thing you could show a child, right? Because it is a
Yes.
toy coming to life. A lot of the camera angles are really low, so it looks like how everything looks when you're a kid. It is a toy coming to life. You're in a house, which you can relate to. And it's just cartoonish enough that you can get it as a kid. I feel like you would be more scared of this doll than you would be of like Jason or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of, anything a doll gets me. I mean, to this day, it's still, a little iffy for me. I don't like to look at dolls. The voice on this thing, what's the voice? Can you remember what the voice sounds like?
It's Frank Welker, isn't it?
It's Fred from Scooby. There were two voices for the doll, and one of them is the guy who did Fred on Scooby.
Well, Fred is Casey Kasem.
No. Fred. No. Casey Kasem is
he's
Shaggy.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So I think it's who you
Yes,
did the
Fred.
name you said.
Yeah.
Welker.
So it's like
yeah.
he's doing this like, which again should be ridiculous. It's somehow
No, but
not.
it works. And then she figures it out somehow, but then at the end, I forget how does it finally get her?
Well, she, after like catching it and escaping a bunch of times, she finally gets this thing thrown in the oven where it catches on fire, and just like black smoke is belching out of the oven. And it finally calms down, and there's no more noise in the oven. And she opens it up, and we just see the camera kind of lunging at her from inside the oven.
That's right.
We cut back, and she's talking to her mother very calmly on the phone, saying, "Oh, I think we should see each other tonight. Come on over." And she walks into the room in front of the front door, and she has a huge knife, a huge hunting knife, and she squats in front of the door, and she starts pounding the knife into the floor, and she smiles, and she has the teeth of the Zuni doll, these pointy little teeth, and that's it. It's a very basic story. It's really well done. It's great.
That face that she has is so scary.
What's that?
That face that she has is so scary.
Finally, the terror.
Yeah. This one was worth it. I mean, I didn't hate the first two. They just were whatever.
I hated the first two. Skip them. That's my suggestion.
Just fast forward.
Yes,
but this last one, it's worth all of this for this last one. There is a sequel to it. I haven't watched the sequel. I just assumed we would watch it for this, for our show, so I didn't watch it. But yeah, Trilogy of Terror 2, and I think the doll is in this sequel as well.
It is. The sequel got very dismal ratings, but it is directed by the same person. It's directed by Dan Curtis, but not starring Karen Black. It is starring a person who barely has an IMDb page. I cannot remember the name. Let's see. Anything else in the old notes about this? There's something to be said for just letting a scene play out with no music. There's very little music in the third sequence with the Zuni doll, and it makes everything so tense. And I know it's a thing that people complain, especially old people like me, but the way a lot of horror movies are made is they just have big chunga sound effects going every minute. So you can't let yourself get tense. Also, when you were talking about her preparing a steak, I initially had the reaction of her going like, wow, she's just making one steak. And then I realized that's what I do. I live alone. I had one steak just this week. So but it does look weird when you see somebody else doing it. Yeah.
And so, okay, we were talking about things that scared us when we were kids.
Yes.
What were some, especially at TV, things that really got you?
Our TV fright memories?
Yeah.
I remember being incredibly scared by the introduction to the new Twilight Zone. Because there's the Twilight Zone, which everybody know, even now, like if you've never seen the Twilight Zone, you know the theme. When they rebooted the Twilight Zone in the 80s, they redid the theme, and it is just a lot of rattling and kind of experimental feedback loops, and then a little bit of the original theme. I guess it's done by the Grateful Dead, which you would never know. So you had this strange, spooky ambient sound, and then you have the scariest lens you can use on a camera, a fisheye lens. And it was looking at a creepy porcelain doll and an
eyeball
fetus and an eyeball. And it's scary. I looked at it now and it just looks so hokey. It looked kind of cool and also kind of hokey. Oh, it was just burrowed into my nightmare stem when I was a child. I could not take that introduction. What about you?
I somehow caught part of Child's Play.
Sure. Well, that's a movie, but sure. That would be scary.
I mean like on HBO or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just mean like, through my, like I talk about through my fuzzy HBO package that we had for free. And I just, every night I pictured him standing in the doorway and then, the shadow of the doll and then climbing over. That was the thing that got me the most. But then also, even though I liked it, the Unsolved Mysteries theme song.
That music. The biggest
Yeah.
mistake, did they throw that music out with this reboot that Netflix did? I feel like they did.
I can't remember. I've watched it, but I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's still there. Maybe it's like a little remix, like an
Okay.
EDM version.
They redid Unsolved Mysteries so thoroughly. It's barely Unsolved Mysteries anymore. Like by naming it that, they were going to get viewers, but really they could have just called it like Weird Stories.
The Unsolved Mysteries, the thing that makes it Unsolved Mysteries, that like when we watched it,
Is it's unsolved?
and it's like the third. What'd you say?
It's unsolved.
That's true. These are all unsolved. But I think it's like the third episode or something. They do one about an alien sighting, and that's where I felt, oh, here's the show, that I remember.
Right, but like the whole format. I mean, I guess when I think of Unsolved Mysteries, I think of the narrator, the stern narrator, the way that the whole thing is put together, and the way that Netflix did it. It's a Netflix show. Like it looks like any Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
So I think they
Well, it's hard to remake it when you don't have Robert Stack. I mean, that voice is so specific to the show. I almost feel like they should have gotten an impersonator.
Well,
it's
there has to be enough recordings of Robert Stack that they could have just
Pieced it
reconfigured
together.
all of his lines like Roger Ebert near the end.
Tonight on Unsolved Mysteries.
I think they had the intro in the can.
You don't think they
Clean.
pieced together the two?
Yeah, I don't.
I need him saying night.
I don't think they were doing it from his answering machine.
Miss Tur.
I guess we also should have said that this is a spoiler episode, and maybe if you wanted to watch this, don't listen to us talk about it first. But oh well.
I feel like that should be automatically assumed.
Oh, the onus is always on the listener.
Yeah, because we do a trailer.
That's true. We can put it in the trailer. This is a really nice little peek behind the curtain of how an episode is made. So you're saying
we
watch
will
the whole
release
thing?
I always say that, but if you are feeling like if you hated story 1, then skip story 2 and go to 3. For sure. Because 2 sucks. Story 2 sucks. Millicent and Therese.
Yeah.
But if you were fine with story 1, then but take the 5 minutes, watch it, and then what are you doing? You're on YouTube. Just hit the button. Hit the 30-second button.
This is also on, if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, it is free to stream. So go for it. It's in good quality.
I will have a link to it. So however you can find it.
And when this played in Brazil, they cut the third story out because they said it was too graphic, and they called it 2 horror stories.
Dos. Well, no, this would have been Portuguese, right? In Brazil.
Yes.
Man, what a bummer for the Brazilians of the 70s.
All right, everyone. Well, that's why we live in America, the greatest country to ever exist.
The home of the brave and land of the 3.
Okay. Jeremy, we can cut right there. Goodbye, everyone.
Come on.